Welcome back to my channel, everyone. In this video, I want to recap a trade that I took today. I want to go over some market context, and I also want to go over some trades that was mentioned and some trades that we took in the chat room that other members have capitalized. So stick around. It's going to be a good video. I'm going to go over my thought process on each of the trades and what we could do to improve for the future. Before we do begin, all I could ask is that you smash that like button and also follow me on Instagram. This is a very good trading resource. I post daily trading recaps and daily trading tips and tricks. So definitely missing out if you aren't following that. Link is in the description below. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So here we have my Discord, and this is the pre-market plan I put out on the S&P 500. Said we had supply at the 3693 area. If we were to rally, I would like us to reject the zone. If we move down, we have demand and we have buyers at the 3674 and 3661 level. If we get below demand, the market could have another sell-off. We're opening up in between both zones, so expect one of these to get tested at the open. If either participant is not active at the zone, we can see some type of continuation in that direction. So everybody sees a supply and demand zone and they think it's going to be an automatic reaction to that zone. But zones, if demand is stronger than supply, at a supply zone, price is obviously going to increase. And if supply is stronger than demand at a demand zone, price is obviously going to decrease. So here we had the 3674 demand that I mentioned. But first, let's get a little context and understand the whole theme of yesterday. So here we have a 30-minute chart. The market sold off pretty aggressively yesterday. We had about 7 or so red candles in a row. For the first 3 hours of trading, we dropped about 120 or so points. And every demand that we had yesterday, which is now invalid and I removed from my charts, got completely destroyed and supply was very, very strong. So right then and there, sellers were controlling the whole day. It was obvious as no buyers showed up the whole day, until we got down to this 3661 and this 3674 demand zone where we saw our first signs of life. So if we go to a 5-minute chart here on the top right, which I'm going to expand, market had a dead cat. We were just selling off the whole day until we got to this demand where buyers started showing up, volume was increasing. Now we were leaning more towards the buy side, and we made a double bottom, a higher low inside of demand. So this thing rallied towards end of day, and then all throughout the overnight session, I was expecting buyers to at least bring us up, but it was flat. We were consolidating, we were choppy, and in fact, we did create some type of supply in this area. So during the pre-market plan, when I read it out, we were coming down right before demand hit at the 3674 area. So about 20-30 minutes before the market did open, we hit this zone. Volume was pretty strong and notable in the after extended hours section, the pre-market section. And then we opened up and I took this trade SPY calls. I took SPY calls long the calls for a couple of reasons. So you're not going to see it from a candlestick chart, but we did have supply up here. I took it long inside of supply. So if I pull up my E-Trade, which shows my entries and exits, I got in at 933 and got out at 941 for $1.82 to 235 on 30 contracts. So let's just break this down. So we came up and buyers were very strong. As you can see from this buying and selling pressure down here, we had huge green candle, and I personally stay away from the first 5-10 minutes of the market open, but I saw something that was very convincing to me, especially that we bounced off of demand before the open and we came up. And if you were watching the time and sales at the time of we were trading, you would have seen heavy size, big orders getting taken out at the ask. So what that means is that you had aggressive buyers wiping away liquidity from the sellers who were passively sitting on the offer. So heavy prints coming through. My buying and selling indicator showed very strong green buying pressure, so I took a risk. Did I know this trade was going to work out? No. But was I comfortable? Was it a high probability? Yes, you could say. And was my risk small? Yeah, I got in at 933. So if we go to a 1-minute chart, I normally don't look at a 1-minute chart, but just to illustrate this point, just to show you my entry and exits, I got in at this candle right here. I'll mark it, and my stop loss was below VWAP. Now, if you've been following me for a while, I trade SPY calls or SPY puts. I only long the calls and only long the puts. I do not write or sell options based off of my ES future chart. It's a very liquid market, so any S&P 500 related instrument will work with this strategy. So I took it long here. We came up and there were zero signs of selling pressure inside of supply. Again, this is where market context comes into play. You have to understand which participants are active in a supply or demand zone, understand where highs are being taken out, where lows are taken out, how is volume, are buyers, sellers aggressive. There's just a bunch of different telltale and clues that the market leaves behind that you have to comprehend and read to make everyday trading decisions. So what we saw yesterday was zones getting completely, not respected. So that's the same mindset I had today. Whatever zone we trade at is what's going to get pretty much blown away. If buyers are strong, which we saw at the open, supply is obviously going to be irrelevant and it's not going to work out. So my target for this was above high a day, and that was also confluent with this supply zone because supplies above the supply was the pre-market highs. So that was my target above pre-market highs and above supply. And at 9:41, I exited. So we pushed up one more time. We were holding above, basing and holding value above the 3705 to 3700 level. So that itself was bullish. And then I saw one huge more green push up. And then the next candle price was stalling and I exited perfectly at this high right here because of strong buying pressure with no follow through. Then the whole rest of the day, if I go to a 5-minute chart, we basically did nothing besides chop. Volume was dying out. We formed new demand in this area now. Now that supply is broken above, this is now invalidated. We came up, we broke above the high a day with very strong convincing volume, and now we were stalling at a supply imbalance. Did not take this trade short just because of how strong the market was. It was getting closer to end of day, and I was happy with my profits. I didn't want to give any back. Zoom is the next thing I want to go over. Yesterday was the first sign of life to the buy side that we saw. I was watching for a pullback to pick up more orders and get long around 355.65 or 352.23 area. So if we go to Zoom, we can see yesterday the rally was the first day of, any type of buying life compared to what we've been seeing. So we had demand. I wanted price to pull back into this demand zone. We opened up near the first one at 355.65. Came below that one, but it came to the 352.23 area where we started to bounce. At first, it was kind of choppy. We were moving sideways, but we came up, then came back down, retested it, retested the zone at 352, made a higher low, and then this thing started to rally. I did not take this trade. I just was not comfortable in how choppy that it was trading, but I know a few members did take this. Next thing is Netflix. Now this sold off yesterday. We had demand in this area and also demand in this area, which both the supply was very, very strong. There was no confirmation in these demand zones to really get long anyway, as I made a trade recap video for the members yesterday as well. But we came into this demand imbalance at 516.43, bounced at it yesterday, made a lower high, double bottom, whatever you want to call it. And then today we opened up. This thing did nothing. It would be very hard to trade the options on this, especially when the underlying stock is choppy and it doesn't have too crazy of volume or momentum. But we came down into this demand zone. Again, the highest volume pretty much of the whole day, the third highest bar. And then this thing reversed from this level for a nice 8-point move to the upside. Tesla, this one is interesting. Yesterday we had bounced off of old supply, which turned into new demand. Today we were opening up, missed that demand by 30 or 40 cents and rallied to this supply imbalance. Now, if you missed the first entry on this supply, it's okay because it came back, it retested, we double topped. You could take the trade long or short anywhere in this area, long puts, put your stop loss above the high, put your stop loss above the zone, and the zone I believe was at all-time highs. The top of the zone from the supply. So this is the origin of the supply zone yesterday. Was in this area right here. Fast forward, your stop is above the highs, above the top of the supply zone for a nice end of day short. What else did we have today? We had Boeing. This thing sold off yesterday as well, right into demand. Today we opened up, pre-market traded inside. We had a lot of activity in the pre-market session. Opened up, missed the zone by again, 20, 30 cents, and this thing rallied. So what a bullish sign you want to see is if we act as support with VWAP while volume is decreasing. If we're holding above, we're acting as support, and you want to see buyers form new volume. You want to see buyers hold value above high a day. If we do come above high a day, we did break it. We came down and retested it. If you want to draw a resistance, which then turned into support, we could draw that line just like that. Came up, broke above it. Volume not very, very convincing. It was somewhat of a slow grinder. We came up, we acted as support, and then this thing rallied and took off. This would have been a very, very nice trade from this demand and from this simple volume VWAP analysis. Next one is Amazon. This thing traded inside of this demand in pre-market, and this thing rallied. No ideal entry there. And then Roku. This thing I was watching to the short side, but if the market is choppy, it's better to just avoid. If you try to trade a choppy stock that's not following the market, there's no volume to it, there's no momentum, there's no movement, you're going to get chopped out, you're going to get faked out, and zones aren't going to work as well because the market is choppy. Choppy markets mean consolidation. Consolidation means equilibrium between buyers and sellers, which is a balanced or basing market. So we did hit supply, but this really did nothing. There was no valid entry. When it's like this, I avoid it, as you could see. And now, we're gapping up a little bit, but we should see if we're going to hold in the for tomorrow's session. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all learned something. You took something out of my thought process. If you did, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And please follow me on Instagram. You're missing out on a very good trading resource. Subscribe to my channel as well, and I'll see you all at the next video.